Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Forged Alliance Forever. Today I have a 4v4 custom match here on the most amazing Roxas map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the Northeast, ending with Team 2 in the Southwest. Starting off with Team 1 Southeasternmost player in Imperial Gray. It is Popoliakov going first, land as an UEF. He is a 1700 type for the highest rated player on his team. To his northwest, we have Chuckle Buns going first, land as another UEF. He is in Chevy Crimson as a 1400. To his northeast in Snow White, blending with his environment, it is Icarus going first, land as an Aeon. He is a 1500. And the other 1700 hit for Team 1, it is Soul Ripper Noob going first, land as another UEF for his team. He is in Barbie Pink. And again, he's going first land. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 3 UEF and 1 Aeon, which means Team 1 lacks Cybern and Seraphim technology. Starting off with Team 2, Southwesternmost player, it is in Ruby Red, Campkiss 500 going first land as a Cybern. He is a 1700. And to his east in Rust, already on the move, is Electric Foot going first land as a UEF. He is a 1400. To his north in Orange Scarlet Warren, it is AF Felix going first land. He is a 1200 as a UEF. And to his northwest, the highest rated player on Team 2 and in the game overall, it is BRS DCCC 97 going first land as a Seraphim. He is again a 1900 in Pac-Man yellow. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have a 2 UEF, 1 Cybern, and 1 Seraphim, which means Team 2 lacks Aeon technology. Again, Team 1 lacks Cybern and Seraphim technology. And for 8 players on the map, let's take a look at how much reclaim they have to scoop up. And by the looks of it, it is everywhere. And there is 73,000 reclaim. That is a whole ton of reclaim. And again, for 8 players, that is over 9,000 mass per player. And I'm going to echoing Vegeta there. It is over 9,000. And for mass point layouts, not only does these players have a ton of mass in terms of reclaim to scoop up, there are a lot of mass points to claim as well. We just have in the southwestern corner 2 mexes for team, 2 Trimex positions here for Team 2, as well as another one and another one. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Trimex positions here for Team 2. Excuse me, this is Team 2, not Team 1. And a ton of other mass on the map to grab. And I mean, talking about mass points, of course. So between the 9,000 mass per player and the ton of Trimex and solitary mexes on this map, this is going to be a lot of eco very, very quickly. Which means, of course, it's going to be a lot of units running around the map here pretty shortly. And without further ado, let's go ahead and see what our players are up to. It looks like all the players on Team 2 have left their main bases. And Team 1's comms doing the exact same thing, except for Icarus, who is back in his main base. So while everyone else is running around the map, scooping up reclaim, scooping up mass points, he's just going to sit here and just build some infrastructure and eco up in his base at a minimum. And it looks like, again, a high concentration of mass everywhere on the map, but there are 2 specific 4,000 mass in reclaim over here, and we see players already moving to go for it. Again, very vital that these players get that reclaim because it will juice up their ecos very, very quickly here. Taking a look here, it looks like it's going to be the first come-on-come action here between the teams. It is BRS DCCC 97 versus Chuckle Buns. Chuckle Buns is a 1400 facing off against a 1900 discrepancy in rating. Just a tiny bit more than what I normally see. But again, you only can balance a game so much. It is 93%. So it's not perfectly balanced, but it's pretty good balance considering Chuckle Buns ignoring BRS. Actually, Scratch that going to go after BRS, trying to force him away, and this is the first comm engagement. It's not comm on comm because, I guess it is, but the BRS's commander is not fighting back. He's already taken 1,000 hit points. It looks like BRS is going to engage and start spamming with some engineers. His teammate Up Felix is going to come and join the fray, so it's going to be a 2v1 scenario here for Team 2's advantage, which means Chocobuns will be forced to retreat in some time. We do see in the East, we have Popo versus Electric Foot going at it. Both UEF commanders, so no advantage in hit points. They're just going to reclaim, not really going to actually worry about one another. Just going to be very civil about their discussions about who gets what reclaim. There are some shots being thrown back and forth, but mainly it's about the reclaim. And Chocobun's going to get walked down by those comms of BRS and Felix. Will Team 2 just go for the jugular, or will they just let him retreat? Looks like both comms on Team 2 have stopped moving for a little bit, but BRS is going to continue to press Chocobuns. T1 PD are being built by said Chocobuns to be able to force these comms back, and it looks like he will get out of range before he is killed off. Even if Felix was chasing him for the entire time, he still would have made it out of dodge with the 4,000 hit points on board still. Probably would have been sitting about maybe 2,000, 2,500 or something like that, but he still would have made it. Not really any worries there for him. But again, it was pretty close, so Chocobuns will be a little bit more defensive as Team 2 exerts their power on the northwestern side of the map. Again, the expansionary efforts of Team 2 are pretty extensive. We see them grabbing almost the entire western side of the map. And in the east, we see a nice little landing of engineers up top to grab these mechs up here on that plateau. So again, trying to establish a nice little forward operating base up there. We do see there's going to be 2 commanders here on the southeastern side for Team 1 and 2 commanders for Team 2. So it is a 2v2 scenario here in the southeast and a 2v1 scenario here in the west. But it does look like Icarus is going to come and join here shortly. It will soon be a 2v2, but Team 2 has that advantage right now. And it will start to show as the upgrades do start commencing to scale up that eco. And especially given the fact that Team 2's camp is just really just expanding in the southeastern corner of the map. We do see, of course, Soul Ripper Nuke going to come in and intercept. And Popo is back here, going to hang tight for the time being. Not really press back and forth. A lot of the mass, of course, has already been scooped up in terms of reclaim. It was 73,000. Now we're sitting at 50,000. So 23,000 reclaim, actually 24, has already been scooped up in the first 7 minutes of the match. And that number will drastically go down and then go right back up with all the units starting to die around the map. So I don't expect that number to go to 0, but I do expect the number to go maybe about 20,000. It dips down to the lowest and then just go back up due to, of course, all the fighting that will happen here pretty soon. T2 has been started here by Electric Foot in the south to, again, grab a nice little exclusion zone for himself and his team. Creates a nice little front line. Looks like Team 1 Soul Ripper Noob trying to push with the units outbound from his teammate of Popo. And Popo will be fine for the time being. Again, he's in the west, kind of just hanging out for the time being. Kez is going to push forward, though. And Team 1 does have the advantage in hit points. Again, it's 12,000 versus 10,000. So almost enough to survive an explosion from the comm if they were to get down, or one of them were to get down to 0, specifically being Camp. But Camp Control K's looks like it is an ejection, unfortunately. Speaking of Camp, because it looks like both, again, same issue again, me and Camp, looks like Icarus. So it looks like both of the players on Team 1 and Team 2 will control K, so it goes from a 4v4 to a 3v3. Looks like there was some connection issues there, unfortunately, but there isn't a comm advantage in one way or the other because of that. And they're actually, I think they were in the same position. No, look, no, they were almost in the same position, I think. This is where Icarus was, and this is where I think Camp, because, yeah, this is where Camp was. So almost in that same position in terms of the map layout. So not really a huge issue, but Team 2 definitely gets a little bit more shot in the chest there, just due to the fact that they lost this 1,700 versus Team 1 losing a 1,500. But again, that's a connection issue, not a skill issue, so not really going to call those actual kills. We're just going to call those unfortunate happenstances. But Team 2 trying to fight on this upper plateau, but Team 1 has gained a lot of ground on the eastern side of this plateau, trying to force out Team 2 on the southern side first. Again, a attack on 2 fronts versus attack on 1 front. A lot easier to manage one way or the other, of course, that being against the 1 front versus 2. Team 1's Chocobun's trying to force his way forward with those PD, being T2 and T1, as forced back BRS in the west. And there's also force back Felix, just kind of in the sense that he's not over here pressing the attacker onto the northern side. He's just kind of sitting there for the time being. And we see Soul Ripper Noob on the other side of the map, very similar to where AF Felix is sitting. So players being very mirrors of one another. It's going to be, again, 1v1, 1v1, and so far the other player is just kind of just hanging out there. And Team 2's front line starting to be established in the south. We're going to get some nice radar online, going straight for T2, not upgrading from Team 1, just to get that upgrade or get that upgraded radar online sooner rather than later. And it's just a back and forth between the two teams on the middle plateau. That's where most of the fighting has occurred, at least for the time being. We see a little bit of some artillery trying to shell this position here for Chocobuns. Chocobuns going for an upgrade. I don't think that's his, no, it's not his main facility, just one of his secondary ones, so he will not lose the headquarters that's back here. It's definitely the better idea, especially when you're being attacked from higher ground and you can't really get at your opponent for the time being. I'm kind of surprised that he doesn't go after some Lobos of his own to go after those ones up here. The PD trying to get a shot at him, but the Arcs just cannot get over that plateau's cliff edge. We see some pillars online also being reclaimed by some engineers from Soul Ripper, so applying some aggressive negotiations here from the Soul Ripper's engineers. Would be kind of surprised to not see some Sparkies be built up here. But again, it's very much back and forth. Team 1 gains an advantage. Team 2 fights back. Team 2 gains an advantage. Team 1 fights back. And it looks like Team 2 has the advantage for the time being with some PD and radar online. Be able to give those PD some vision. Be able to actually hit some targets from out of view. But again, we are seeing Team 1's Chocobun start to cut through Team 2's territory. And I think he might try to hook left and try to isolate at least a section of the map so we can deal with that a lot easier. We do see some units outbound from Popo in the northwest. A couple of Blazes going to come and take out these engineers and Mexes, and then probably hook around and go after Team 2's AF Felix down there. Soul Ripper Noob has retreated. Looks like he's going to go for a distance build over here to this plateau. Be able to go after this group of engineers and structures up here. Looks like there was an attempt made by probably Team 1 at some point, but it was denied. So he's going to try it again. And it's going to be fire-basing wars here between Team 2's Electric Foot and Popo in the east. Again, nice little fire lines being established. I like this and I don't like this. I like it because he's stretching on his line just a little bit so he can cover more ground. The downside with that, of course, is not highly concentrated, whereas we see Team 1 trying to a highly concentrated position, which will be more defendable, but unfortunately not being stretched out, able to cover a wide berth. So essentially it's sort of the definition of quantity versus quality in that sense, but it's more of high concentrated small area or low concentrated large area. Essentially the difference between the two strategies here in the southeastern corner for the two UEF players. And again, Team 2, again, this position is not going to be taken out anytime soon. Counter PD trying to be established, but looks like Team 2 has gained the advantage. They're halfway past the middle point, at least a little bit past the middle point. And Team 1 will be forced to kind of reconsolidate and go after other endeavors. Stealth field generator is online, so that will deny the radar for the time being until they get vision on board. You can see they see a little bit of what was here just by vision, but they don't see anything new once it comes into range of that stealth field generator. And this is what the stealth field generator covers. So while Team 1 has vision and radar, and what's going, well, active radar, I should say, Team 2 does not. So that will give Team 1 a slight advantage. Shield generator should be established here pretty shortly, because once the vision does get reestablished here for Team 2, that's not really going to matter with that stealth field generator online. Attack outbound in the west here by Team 2's BRS going after Chucklebuns' position. We already have T3 land online for BRS. Does that mean we have T3 air somewhere? Yes, we do. Outbound from BRS as well. So he is both microing land and air. Team 1, T3 air is online. T3 land also online, at least for one of the players. So both teams have both land and air T3 online and pumping. Of course, no Navy because it is A, no water map, and B, even if it was any sort of water, it would probably already be frozen over. So Not really going to work out there, but Harbinger moving forward, going after those Pillars. Pillars doing a really good job in chewing through the hit points on board those Harbingers. But Harbingers does take out a couple of Pillars as well. So again, 1 unit for 3, but there's that whole quality versus quantity thing. But we do see some missile launchers outbound from Chucklebuns going after the facilities first, which will deprive Team 2's forward position from reinforcements. They do have a couple of engineers. They might be better off to go for some more T1 land facilities, but just to get engineers on station. But I don't think that's going to be the case here anytime shortly. He's focused more on offensive units. T2 air also online here for Soul Ripper. Don't know why he went for land, air versus land. Maybe you want some transports, maybe. Because you can build engineers both ways, so I don't really see the need to go one way or the other. But attack again outbound from BRS, going after Chucklebuns' position, but he's just getting more and more triads online and being very, very annoying and not allowing Team 2 to pass. Large wave of units also outbound from the Imperial Grey player Popo to the north. Looks like he's trying to try to do a clean sweep all the way to that western edge. He's already dropped off a nice little Harbinger, which does 2 things. It takes out the T3 Mechs, and because the engineering suite can then scoop up the reclaim. So it's a 2-for-1 kind of scenario, which is very, very nice to have, because you get the mass for the efficiency for the kill, and you get the mass from the wreck. So it's a 2v1 kind of scenario. Or 2-for-1, not 2v1. Well, I guess that's kind of the same thing. And in the east, large military buildup in the east. But again, like I said, the PD is stretched out here for Electric Foot, and for Popo, it's kind of just hanging out underneath that shield and a couple of PD. There is some AA in the mist. Love to see that. Don't really see a lot of that here for his land army. Really only T2 being the primary force, while a lot of T1 spam. With the T3 land facility online to the north, looks like he's pumping out some Titans, but I would like to see him transition into some Perseus here pretty shortly, especially with some Rhinos coming into the east. I think he wants to go with those Titans first. Rapid response units as they are. Team 2 has collapsed onto Team 1's front line over here to the east. And transport does try to make it out of range, but isn't going to be able to ferry engineers away from their not so happy times on that middle plateau there. The engineers trying to defend, actually engineers trying to just build mass storage, excuse me. The Titan trying to defend, but just gets wiped out. More and more Titans coming in to deal with these. The engineer has been killed, so we'll have to send another one out to finish the job. And it looks like Soul Ripper will now retreat, but has done his job in claiming that plateau for himself and his team by extension. Team 2 pumping a lot of units over here. Felix really hyper-focusing on this Apple Plateau, which gives him a very good vantage point against Chucklebuns is over here to the northwest and pretty close to the T3 land headquarters in the east for Popo. So again, nice central position. This map is pretty big. It's not a full 20 by 20, but it is probably a 17 or so. So that middle plateau doesn't have a lot of influence, but it has enough to really kind of create a nice little bubble around it at a minimum. I could see some TMLs being built, some artillery, either T2, probably not T3 would be great to put here. But really wouldn't be worth it, to be honest. And attack, avoiding the base here for Chucklebuns, going northward to intercept the forces here outbound from Popo in the north. So Team 1's Popo will be forced back for the time being. ASA production in full swing, of course, for both teams, but looks like Team 2 focusing on it a tiny bit more than Team 1 in terms of the unit counts, while Team 1 goes for those T3 broadsword gunships. Going to go after probably this base over here. Is there any AA in the midst? No, which means it is open for business for that gunship to move in and go after whatever he wants. He could actually go further inland, or further in Team 2's territory, go after some Mexes, but there are some ASFs going to move to intercept, and ASFs from Team 1 going to also move in to intercept. Looks like the gunship is bait, and unfortunately the ASFs move for the wrong targets to go after the interceptors instead of the ASFs. That gunship is shot down. It was going to be shot down anyways, but it does leave that engagement a little bit better for Team 2, and it looks like Team 1 will gain air control for the time being with the death of those ASFs. There is some AA, but not really a whole lot. And nice little supply lines trying to resupply these forces in the north, but being kind of halted by Chucklebuns over here in that fire base. And this land army of mainly Othams, but a couple of a couple being one ill sheet, T3 shield, and a nice little T1 FAM. Looks like all of these structures over here will be killed off for Team 1. And a transport dropped off a nice little Otham over here. Going to be able to take out all of these T2 Mechs. Definitely going to hurt the eco of Team 1's Imperial Grey player. And in terms of eco for both teams, Team 1 slightly ahead, but of course they are having some issues in the back line, so that number will go down. Team 2 overall about 560. So both teams sitting at about the same amount of eco. Of course, each team has lost one player just due to some connection issues, which is very unfortunate, but it does happen, of course. And map control definitely favors Team... I was going to say Team 2, but it looks like it might even be 50-50. The plateau is kind of throwing me off for map calculations, but I think it's about maybe 55 for Team 2, 45 for Team 1. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game, and if you haven't done so already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And, of course, thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the time and attention you give to my videos. And this is number 301. We are past the 300 mark. We had that one yesterday. And it is crazy that I have done over 300 FAF casts. And again, like I said in the previous video, I'm excited for 300 more. And more than that, but at least for now, the next 300 more. In the middle, we see the ASFs rebuilding their forces once again here for BRS. If Team 1 wants to gain an advantage in this game, they might want to do it in the air. I mean, the land's going to essentially be deadlocked for the time being. Looks like there's a lot of emphasis here from BRS in the southeast. A lot of Titans. Actually, no, these are Loyalists, excuse me, not Titans. A couple of bricks. So Team 2 going a little bit more for rapid response versus slow and steady Percies or bricks that usually we see out of cyber and land forces. Which, again, Loyalists have the ability to redirect missiles, so that's kind of a nice feature to have. Having a lone Percy by itself, probably not the best idea. And it is being EMP'd as we speak, so it's not as effective as well. And there it goes, killed off by those Loyalists when PD are in range. And those units, again, for Team 1, kind of moving around, kind of shifting their weight around, trying to get nice and settled. Looks like some wall sections are being built to prevent a land engagement from Chucklebuns and forces units to go all the way around instead of just kind of cut around that corner. And it looks like Chucklebuns, I mean, he might get overran here. He's being attacked from the north and from the west. Looks like that land army was either dealt with or retreated or both, whatever the case may be. And Chucklebuns needs to get out of there. It's not really going to be good for him pretty shortly. The shield is down, and that's a lot of Othams bearing down on him. He only has T2. He doesn't have any gun or anything, so not really a lot of attack power on board that commander. But there are some Percies trying to cover for their commander, doing great service for him. But unfortunately, this position will be done and dusted. There will be a decent amount of reclaim to scoop up. Probably going to go to Chucklebuns unless Team 2's BRS can hold that position. But maybe he can. I don't know. It is not necessarily entrenched in Team 1's territory, but I could easily just see Chucklebuns getting a gun upgrade and just kind of walking over and saying hi. Especially when the Othams sit there and let some missile launchers just shoot at them. Probably not the best idea there. And some PD nearby, so yeah, not the best idea. The Othams will sit there and wait. And engineers already on station, so they will get some mass back from their investments in that base. An attack in the southeast does occur. It is between a ton of Titans, a couple of Percies, versus a decent amount of Loyalists, a couple of bricks, and that's most of note. There is one Percy outbound from the rest player of Electric Foot, and there are some tickle cannons in range as well, but it's a lot of fighting here. It looks like most of the Titans have already been dealt with here by Team 2. That land army not really working out here for Team 1, and that just goes to the fact that the EMP weapons on board the Loyalists are very, very useful, especially for locking down some units. Can't lock down experimentals or comms, but I think pretty much any other land unit they can lock down with EMPs. But we will just have to see some artillery in the form of some missiles, spearheads outbound here from Felix, going after the defenses over here. Love to see that. A lot of missiles can be fired from that. No TMD as well. Team 1's Imperial Grey player of Popo just really being forced back now. Team 2 trying to claim the reclaim field, mostly actually donated, quote-unquote, by Team 1. They were given a huge advantage in that regard. Team 2 sitting at 940 mass. Team 1 at 800, so at least 100 or so mass more than their opponents. for Team 2 versus Team 1. Attack once again outbound here from BRS, really pushing against Chocobuns to force him back. And it's a lot of Optims in the mist, but there aren't as many Percies to counter it. Ravagers are online, not many of them, of course, just because the space was newly constructed. Some Harbingers are coming in to reinforce this position here from Popo, so that will force back the Harbingers for now. The Harbingers, the Optims for now. Allow Chocobuns to breathe a little bit for the time being. Does have some T2 artillery back here going after the units up top. Looks like they're trying to target the missiles and the artillery, which there are none of because all the Lobos I think were killed off. But with that upper plateau secured for Team 2, it's not really looking good here for Team 1. It's kind of, you know, anything around that plateau. Do we see anything nice and juicy going on in the main base here for Team 2? No. Fat Boy has been started by both Felix and Electric Foot. And T2 coming online here for BRS. It's going to go for T3 immediately after that. I don't see any out of experimentals being built by Team 2. Team 1, probably a Fat Boy at a minimum somewhere built by one of the three UEF slash... I was going to say UEF players, but actually they all are UEF. Because the Aeon player of Icarus had to leave due to his connection. I don't see Colossus under construction either, so... kind of a missed opportunity here. Team 2 is going to have a couple of Fat Boys here pretty shortly and really outrange Team 1. Team 1 needs something to counter that. We see that missile redirect coming into play here, but the PD are in range of the units over here, which I don't know why the units are still sitting here. It's just kind of free kill. See that missile's being redirected, and it does take a couple of seconds. I don't know what the cooldown is for the redirect, but it's definitely not just 2 seconds. It's a little bit of time. Missiles actually trying a different approach to go around, but get redirected once again. These missiles cannot get a shot on those units. And it looks like that Spearhead almost dies to its own missile, so it will retreat for the time being. Again, Loyalist really effective at dealing with multiple missile launchers. Combine that with volcanoes, you have a defensive line that's from TMD that's not going to crack anytime soon. At least against missiles. Against other forms of weaponry, maybe, but at least for missiles specifically, volcanoes plus Loyalists equals OP. Well, one, because you can move the Loyalists, and two, because not every missile would be redirected and not every missile will be caught by the flare. It's kind of a mix. Looks like Team 1's Popo pushing on this western side with the assistance of Chocobuns, using those sniper bots to great effect. Whereas Team 2 also has access to sniper bot technology outbound from BRS, but looks like he's focused more on tank production. He might switch over to some sniper bots here pretty shortly, though, due to the fact he's being attacked at range. The best way to attack, because you don't risk the lives of your men or infrastructure or whatever, you're able to shoot at your opponent without them being able to shoot at you. It's the, definitely the best way to engage, if at all possible. Loyalist moving in on the eastern side, assisted by some bricks. It will draw the forces outbound from Popo. It will leave an opening for Team 2's Electric Foot to expose, but to exploit the lack of resources here for Popo. He'll go straight to the north and then east to get past this firing line. And unfortunately, that fire base that was over here is now dead and gone. Ravagers trying to be built to, again, secure this approach, but it's not really going to work. Units have to be diverted from the supply lines to deal with this incoming threat from Team 2. Where there is a gunship or two in the mist over here, so that could be rerouted over here. But it looks like the slower units are definitely the main target. Once the Percies are down, I think it'll be fine for Team 1 to just send a gunship or two, but Percy's going to make this a little bit more annoying, especially with some Cougars in the mist as well. It's not going to make things easy to deal with, at least from the air. It looks like Team 1 trying to do the exact same thing after countering the incoming units from BRS. They might try to take a nice, maybe not necessarily direct approach. They can't go all the way around, but I guess they... Oh, no, they are just going to take that direct approach. Never mind. Okay, here's some Titans firing somewhere. Looks like that is from Popo going after those units. Cougar able to lock out the air. Transport on board with some Harbingers, delivering them to the front line. The transports get out of, or trying to get out of range, but get shot down. But all of them with Harbingers do get dropped. And this attacking force does get forced back here by Team 1. Good counter from them. And in the west, Land Army is engaging. Looks like it's being handed over to Soul Ripper, very interestingly. I don't know why Soul Ripper would gain control of these units. Oops, says Popo. I think he meant to give that over to Chuckle Buns, I would assume. I think he just clicked on the wrong player. Fatboy online here for Team 2's AF Felix, and I'm assuming that Fatboy, yep, it's over here for Electric Foot. Felix builds another experimental. It is another Fatboy, so 2 Fatboys online for him, building a third one. And Chicken, I'm assuming online for BRS. Nope, just transferred over from Felix. So 2 Fatboys online now for BRS, built by Felix. And 1 Fatboy in the south. Team 1 has nothing of that sort of thing under construction here for them. I don't know what their... Well, I guess the Colossus is being built, but not really much of anything else. Huge air grid being built here by Soul Ripper. Don't really like the design because it is a square. It's very easy to cascade, so needs to watch out for that. That's not going to feel good anytime soon, especially with artillery or bombers or whatever coming and just lay waste to everything. It's not going to feel good. Firebase once again being forced back by Team 2. This time it's by that Fatboy. And now with the last remaining main defensive line here for Popo, he's going to have to resort to more mobile defenses. That being all of his land units. There is a nice base up here to the east for Soul Ripper. Don't see any T2 artillery. That would definitely be nice to include up there. Especially being able to force back that Fatboy coming out from the west. And this defense, I mean, there's a huge opening for Team 2 to exploit. They tried to do it over here, but got forced back. They might try to do the same kind of thing. Move a land army to the east, draw the forces over to the east, and then move the Fatboy or whatever units westward once again. I don't think Team 1 would fall for that again. We'll see. But I don't think the Fatboy is going to divert eastward and the units go west. That's probably not going to work, especially with a firebase over there to the east. In the west, looks like Soul Ripper is the one that's supposed to have these units. Maybe, I don't know what the apology was to somebody about that, but you would assume Chocobuns would gain control of that since he's the primary land player over here, and Soul Ripper is the air player. But the Fatboy intermixing with a ton of Authams for Team 2's BRS. That is not going to go well here for Team 1, but that Fatboy is not firing, even though it's definitely in range. Team 1 cannot see the units. They are blind, which makes me think that the radar was taken offline at some point. Or at least he hasn't built a radar. I would assume he built a radar by now. But Sniperbot's trying to hold the ground. They're going to have to retreat. They are going to be forced back. They're trying to take out the Fatboy, but it will be wiped off the map for the time being. The Fatboy opens fire, starts taking out all of those Sniperbots. And that is a massacre here from Team 2. Looks like ASF's trying to jostle for positioning here in the west. ASF still sitting in reserve in the southwest as well. So again, both of the air players kind of know this is where the main fighting will occur here pretty shortly. And that Fatboy in the east kind of just hanging out. The units from BRS acting as a nice little protective bubble for the bubble shield on board the Fatboy. But again, I don't see a lot of emphasis from Team 1 to go for experimentals except for that Colossus that's now under construction. For Team 1, it has been finished off. Team 2 has that advantage with experimental firepower. Also surprised BRS has not gone for a chicken. But I love this play outbound from Team 1 Soul Ripper, getting in behind that main land army and going after T3 Mechs as Autumn's diverted to deal with them. But the Harbingers are the fastest moving T3 main unit. Will they kill off that T3 Mechs? I don't... Oh, they might get it. Oh, they get it. So they get 2 of the T3 Mechs so far. This one still alive, and the Autumn start to get into range. And that last little bit of hit point on board that Harbinger will die off, but the shield comes back online at the last second. But it doesn't matter. The Harbinger has been eliminated. Will it get another T3 Max? No, it won't. One more shot would have done it in, but doesn't stay there just because the Authams are chasing him. And Chuckabuns builds an experimental. It is a Fatboy, so he is producing Fatboy, and that will definitely counter the 1 Fatboy from Team 2. But that is a lot of firepower on the Autumn side of things. Percy's lining the approach over here to the south from the upper plateau. Most of them cannot shoot. Some of them can shoot over the edge, but not many of them. And that Fatboy laying waste to all those units up there. I feel like that's kind of a waste for Percy's just to sit there. And now Autumn's being forced back by that Fatboy in that position over there here for Chuckle Buns. He's going for another one right next to it, so I'm going to do one after the other here. In the east, looks like there are 2 Fat Boys now online. The shield is down. Looks like it drifted a little bit too far close to this firebase over here. And artillery has been built by Team 1 Soul Ripper, and that Fat Boy does have a rank in veterancy. Gets a second one just due to these units constantly running into, staying in range of the Fat Boy. Team 1's Popo needs to send these units back just because, again, the units are trying to catch up to the Fat Boy, but they're staying in range of the Fat Boy, which means they gain the advantage. Third one does approach the line here for Felix. Probably will be donated over to, I would assume, Electric Foot, but maybe just BRS. I feel like BRS should just give everything he has over to Electric Foot so we can micro everything on that line. I don't know. Maybe keep the mexes maybe, but that's it. I don't know. I feel like diverting your attention from here over to here to over to there, go to over here to over here, not really that effective. Fat Boy pushes back the Otham land force here from Team 2's BRS with the Harbinger support from the north. It's going to be really annoying to deal with for the time being. Is there any other motive for winning the game here for Team 2, or way that Team 2 is trying to end the game? Looks like they are going to start some 4 artillery pieces. That's not normally the way that we see artillery built. It's usually the 4 P-gens first and then the artillery, but they want to invert it, which is fine by me. 4 artillery like that's fun to watch, but I don't think he'll build all 4 of them, at least right now. Looks like the Colossus has come into range of one of the Fat Boys. Fat Boy trying to get out of range and get behind that Colossus. Colossus will turn, distract that. Colossus just barely. And it looks like the Colossus will die here from Team 1, and especially with that Percy Fire coming into range. Oh, one more shot. There it goes. Team 2 gets a nice little mass dump, and they still have 2 Fat Boys to secure that position. I understand Team 1's focus on going after the Fat Boys, but probably should have waited till they had maybe 2 Colossi so they could just stomp on both of them, or all of the Fat Boys, but not the best idea. But speaking of Fat Boys in the west, the Fat Boy is taken out by Team 1, and it just hits the kick to the Hornet's Nest has occurred, and those Othams are charging forward against that Fat Boy from Team 1. Percy's constantly trying to retreat, as well as getting some fire from both the north and the east. Nice semicircle occurring here to be able to get all of that firepower in range all at once. It looks like the ASFs are moving in, jostling with the ones from Soul Ripper. We haven't seen a huge ASF engagement since that very little one that we saw earlier in the game before 20 minutes, but that's a lot of ASFs for both players. Soul Ripper sitting at 269 and BRS sitting at 223 with a decent amount of Corsairs. That could be a Corsair snipe, on the cards, depending on the shield generator capabilities. So Team 1 is in the lead. Definitely not map, or it's definitely not air dominance, definitely air control. And nice artillery base has been spammed up, trying to clear out the upper plateau for Team 1 against Team 2. And that essentially has been wiped out. Once all the engineers are dead, it's essentially whatever land. If Team 1 can get land facilities up there, they could reestablish their positioning over there, but I don't think that's going to happen. More artillery here in the east for Popo, trying to force back the Fat Boy, targeting a lonely little Percy. They'll kill that off, but the artillery needs to start focusing on that Fat Boy. Spy planes over top and get a nice view on what's going on over there. We'll see the commander of Popo. He has shield on board as well as T3 and gun. Pretty decently tanky commander in that regard. 3 Fat Boys online for Team 2 in the southeast. Again, starting to get nice little critical mass of Fat Boys, unless it doesn't get out of range of the artillery, then it won't happen. Nuke online here for Team 2's Orange the Color Orange player of Felix. Team 2 is trying to think of alternate ways to win the game. SMDs are online, so that's not really a huge threat except for over here. Team 1's Popo is definitely vulnerable to that. ASF fight does occur against a little bit of ASFs from Team 1. Looks like the rest of those ASFs will swarm. This is not really the best engagement because not all of them are engaging at one time, so Team 2's ASF can just blitz apart small groups of them. That's definitely how Team 2 wants to engage the ones for Team 1, but the reinforcing ones do get into range. And it looks like Team 2 will gain air dominance unless the ASFs from Team 1 can manage to hold out. There are some Corsairs in the mist. Acting as nice little cannon fodder here for them, but look at that. ASF massacre has occurred for Team 2. Team 1 loses all of the ASFs they had, especially considering they had more ASFs than Team 2. And there it goes. Looks like how many are left here for BRS? That is sitting at 100 or so. So air dominance is on the cards here for Team 2. And the land incursion has occurred. There is also a satellite overhead targeting the donut, or targeting, actually not the donut, targeting the mass for Team 1. That is not looking good here for Team 1's ASF. It's not looking good. They do have shields around their P-gens. That's definitely a smart move. The satellite is focusing now. The SMD, taking that out, will allow the nuke to get in without any issue. But the ASF's now moving into the north. Don't really know where they're going. They're sitting behind enemy lines. There is a decent amount of AA in the area. And Autumn's now forming this nice little column. Unfortunately for them, not all of them can fire at the same time, and they're having some pathfinding issues. And those Percy's able to deal with those Autumns very, very effectively. And so this is definitely not how you want to move your units in a single fire line. It makes defenses for Team 1 a lot easier, or the other team to be able to deal with your units a lot more diplomatically, one at a time versus all of them all at once. Felix built another experimental. Is it another satellite? Yes, it is. He's going to start building a third one as we speak. Artillery still being built here by Team 2. That's outbound from Electric. But Team 1 loses Popo to to Strat Bomber fire. They knew where Team 1's Popo was for a while. Built up some bombers and are now trying to assassinate the air grid as we speak. Bombs will land. There is a decent amount of shield coverage. They will take out nothing. But they did take out a comm, so that's better than nothing. Team 2 looks like they will cede air control for that kill. I think they'll have a little bit more air control still, but there was a lot more ASFs. And it is now a 3v2 in favor of Team 2 at 38 minutes. Looks like there are some Rambo preset commanders running around here for BRS as well. But they will also be forced back by Team 1. Another Fat Boy dead here for Team 2 on this western side. Maybe that was Team 1's, I can't remember, but not really looking good for that mass over there. Gimme mass is BRS. I don't know what he's spending. He's producing 600 mass. Team 1's Soul Ripper now producing 1.1k mass per second, and that is going to start materializing in a bunch of spam. And T1 Lobo spam. We'd see again those two Fat Boys still online. Surprised there isn't a third one being built somewhere, but it is not on the cards. And also surprised that there's no Monkey Lords, no Crabs coming online. Crabs would definitely help out Team 2, especially on this eastern side and the western side. Just isn't not being prioritized here. Third satellite almost in the yellow. Nuke, how's it loading? Very slowly. I'll be focusing on the artillery production or the satellite production. Look, how is that artillery? It's almost completed, 75% plus, which means it's about to finish off. Looks like the SMD again is the target here, taking out the emitters first. Team 1 needs to get some more shield coverage on board all that. Counter satellites have been almost constructed for Chocobuns. He's got to notice the SMDs are the target. The emitter is down. One more shield remains. And taking out a radar as well. Nice little move from Team 2's Orange player of Felix. Tons of spam outbound from Sober, trying to go after those Fat Boys. Is not really going to do a whole lot. It does create a nice little buffer zone, though. They can't really materialize that into big canes. They need to funnel that mass into something else. He has built his donut, but I don't think that's really worth it right now. He really needs to start taking out Team 2's infrastructure with something. And Team 1 still not outproducing Team 2. Team 2 at 1.7k. Team 1 at 1.6, 1.5. Total mass accrued here for Team 1, 2.02 million. Team 2 at 2.2. So 200,000 mass more for Team 2 than Team 1. That is a ton more mass to have. Well, not a ton in terms of percentages, but that's almost a Paragon's worth of mass. That, in that terms, is a ton of mass. ASF engagement might occur once again. Corsair is going after something. I don't know what they're going after. Looks like the ASF fight might... It's like will they, won't they kind of thing. It looks like they will. And, of course, the missiles on board the donut provide a nice little range. Looks like the ASS from Team 2 will flee. And counter satellite is online for Team 1's Crimson player. of Chuckle Buns, and it's going to start targeting that nuke launcher. The shield is going to be assisted. Looks like it is going to be able to hold out for the time being, which means Team 1 needs to focus on energy production facilities, which Felix doesn't have a lot to spare. So if he loses a T3 P-Gen, that's not going to feel good. Looks like the attack is outbound once again from the rest player of Electric Foot. And BRS with his engineers to scoop all the reclaim. Mass production in Fat Boy has been starting here for Soul Ripper, trying to again establish a nice defensive line. And in the West, it's essentially the same story, except facing off against Seraphim forces again instead of UEF and a little bit of Cybran if you count the engineers. I feel like at this point I'm going to speed it up just a little bit because it's kind of died down. I might slow it down once this group of units engage. The unit count definitely favors Team 2, almost probably a 3-to-1 advantage. But due to the fact of how they're engaging, not all of them are engaging together, which means, again, Team 1 can try to split them apart, engage them a lot better. That's how Team 2 won the air fight. With that Colossus in reserve, though, for Soul Ripper, this group of units isn't... I mean, it's going to do some damage, but I don't know if it'll do a lot of damage. They're walking straight for that Colossus, though, so definitely not the thing that they should be walking towards. And now Team 1 looks like they're exerting their air power just a little bit. That donut is going to move to the west, but that artillery fire is now focusing on Chuckle Buns' position. The satellite has almost been destroyed. SMD is loading as we speak. The shields need to be built more than the SMDs. You can't shield your satellite. That's going to hurt. It's not going to matter. The satellite was destroyed, but the shield was constructed. And Team 2 doesn't have to worry about any satellites for the time being. 4th satellite online here for Team 2's AF Felix. And now 2nd artillery is under construction here for Electric Foot. But 4 satellites, 1 artillery. And Team 2, I think that's their only 2 avenues. Maybe, no, yeah, I think that's the only 2 avenues so far. I thought I saw a YOLO, but that's not it. 2nd Fat Boy was constructed. Looks like the donut did get killed off. And it killed the Fat Boy as well. That's gotta hurt. So not only did the donut get crashed, but they lost the Fat Boy. But they gained air controls and dominance. So Team 1 probably should start pushing air. Team 2 doesn't have a lot of AA versus Team 1. Team 2. That's not what I'm looking for. Where are you? There you are. Only have 6, and Felix has 4, and Electric Foot has a lot of TMD, but not much. Oh, he has some over here. Okay, he has a lot more protecting his main base, but Team 2 is very vulnerable to air power. Team 1's not going to push it, which they should, but looks like Chuckle Buns has been targeted. His satellite is almost constructed once again. Needs to get more shielding. All the focus from Team 2's satellites are on this one position. And then I feel they're going to go for this one over here to the east. Artillery is also online here for Team 1. And it's an emissary, the best T3 artillery in the game. Probably should take out the satellites first, would be my guess. Only 2 shields are protecting them, and I heard an explosion. Oh, it's a SACU. Colossus doing a lot of the hefty lifting and blitzing those down. And, of course, the Percy's augmenting that firepower as well. A lot of the focus is on the Colossus. The Colossus does get taken out, but most of those SACUs are also dead as well. Fat Boy is in range of Team 1's Fat Boy. And where is that emissary fire landing? They're landing against the nuke. Oh, I feel like if he targeted the satellite stations, that'd be better. Because then you would lose that threat over the skies. But I do understand the reasoning behind it. You take out the nuke, the threat of the nuke, and then you can deal with the satellites next. But I don't know. That nuke has been finished for a while, and now again the focus is on the artillery piece. I feel like the satellites might be the bigger focus now, especially since Team 1's only attack power is with that artillery. You need to take out the thing shooting you first and then shoot everything else. The satellites are starting to break through with the augmented firepower from the artillery landing. Oh, that's going to hurt. Is it going to go down? Is the shield going to be built in time? Yes, it will. The P-Gens get re-targeted, but it doesn't matter. Shield is back online. And that P-Gen will go up in smoke. Engineers trying to hurry build the emitters to try to protect themselves. Oh, that pigeon goes down. It lowers the fire rate a little bit on board that emissary. Oh, this is not going to go well. I think I'm going to split focus just a little bit so we can see what's going on both sides of the map. Satellite trying to break through. The satellite facility still online. I don't even know if Team 1 knows where they are. They know where one of them is. They might as well just target that. Satellites, still, they almost got through all the way, but just barely. USAT in other places, BRS. Oh, I don't know about that. Team 2 probably could have taken out that artillery piece. Mavor was started. Don't see why that's a good place to put that. Not really under a lot of shield coverage there. The Team 2 might, or maybe Chocobunts is trying to distract Team 2's satellites. Emissary fire raining in, going after the artillery here from Team 2. There are 2 Dukes online, and there's not a lot of shielding, especially due to the fact that that's an emissary firing, so that's not going to feel good here pretty shortly. And there's not a lot of engineer support as well nearby. The artillery landing against the 1 satellite here for Team 1. Team 1 not even using the satellite, it's just sitting right here. Chocobun's probably focusing more on the western side of the map. And at this point, I kind of want to say Team 2 has the advantage. I mean, they have 4 satellites, 2 well, they might not have 2 artillery here pretty shortly. And there goes the energy for those shields. Shields another one does get built, and another artillery is immediately constructed. I don't know if that's what Team 2 should be focusing on. Team 1, shields, more of them are being built. They rebuilt the Pigeon, building a second emissary. Where are the satellites are going after the western position here for Team 1's Chocobun's, trying to essentially create a huge hole for the land to come in and just march on through. I do love that. Unfortunately, I still think they should have gone after the emissary, because once that emissary retasks onto those satellites, I don't think it's going to feel good after that. Don't know where is the emissary. Nope, still targeting those Dukes. Team 1's Solar pushing the eastern side here against Team 2, trying to gain some ground. Multiple Fat Boys online, and it looks like it will start to favor Team 1 ever so slightly. Shields are down around those Dukes. All it's going to take is 2 of those Pigeons popping up, and it's not going to feel good. And don't know if Team 1 has the firepower to crack those shields. It's like they're barely coming offline and then barely popping online. Satellites looking like they're retasked, going after the SMD most likely. ASF's trying to shield the satellite that's not being used. Some of the satellite's still sitting there. Oh, ASFs are going down. Artillery as well, hitting the ASFs. Oh, I don't know if... Oh, another chunk of ASFs are down. Nuke loaded, says Felix. The nuke is loaded. Oh, that's not going to feel good. The SMD will be the target. The SMD is not loaded. This position will die if the nuke is launched. There isn't an SMD up here, which means the emissaries are not in a great position. Again, should have gone after those satellites first. Looks like he does rethink his strategy, going after the satellites. And something explodes. It's another SACU in the south. Oh, it's not going to feel good. Again, there's the satellite sitting here. BRS control Ks. Connection possibly? I don't know. Well, Team 2 is winning, so or they're in a great position. I wouldn't say necessarily winning or losing, but definitely in a great position. But it's now a 2v2 game here at 48 minutes. And the shields are down. The SMD is going to fall. The Mavor has been destroyed, and that nuke might launch. That emissary has been constructed. Second one is online. Nuke is launched, going after Chocobuns' position. Ooh, that's kind of a missed opportunity, especially because Team 2 could have taken out the 2 emissaries. With 2 emissaries, it might be enough to take out the satellites. That needs to be the focus here for Team 1. If Team 1 can take out those satellites and then the artillery, it might bring them back in this game. There are 2 emissaries to accomplish that. Shields are being built as we speak, as well as some more Pigeons to augment that fire rate. This one is severely wounded, so 1 explosion from a nearby Pigeon is not going to feel good. And, of course, kaboom! 48 minutes almost 49 minutes on the clock. The first nuke has launched. And the attack in the south still is commencing. And now the western side with the death of BRS, or the departure of BRS. Looking like Team 2 is being a little bit overwhelmed, at least a little bit in terms of APM. There is the shot landing. Satellite's now going to be retasked onto, looks like the air grid over here. Looks like that's what they're going to focus on more. And the engineers have rebuilt, or not rebuilt, built an SMD. SMD, how is it, Nuke, how is it loading? Decently quick. A lot of shields are popping on and off. Where's the other artillery? Oh, no, they're landing. Okay, I was like, are they not landing together? The Colossus kind of just sitting there receiving Fat Boy fire. That's never a good thing. Emissaries coming in. Oh, the shields are falling. The shields are down. Repeat, the shields are down. One of them is going to pop online. Another one soon after that. Oh, are they going to pop online just in the nick of time? Yes, they will. Oh, just barely. Oh, that was close. That probably would have been the end of the satellites. The satellites targeting the SMD, trying to load it. At least the engineers are SMD to the west as well. Third emissary being built. Shields around those. Satellites still holding strong. The main shield is down. You can't assist the shield if it is already depleted. Third Duke in the yellow. Team 2 building a ton of artillery. Looks like to counter the Fat Boys inbound. Colossus is down for Team 1, but there are still 3 Fat Boys inbound. One of them is a wreck. And the Duke's now retasking onto the SMD. All it's going to take is for Team 2 to load a nuke. Once the SMD is down, and it is down, the air grid is going to go down here pretty shortly once that nuke is ready to go. How is the emissary fire going? Well, it's not cracking the shields as of yet. Oh, is that enough to crack the shields? Yes, it is, but there's secondary shields online. Team 1's really trying to crack those shields, but they just cannot seem to break through. Now the satellite's retasking onto a different target now that that SMD is down. Looks like they're just going after whatever's over here, it looks like, maybe. Oh, please. Okay, you're targeting the AA. It looks like they might be clearing the way for some bombers, possibly. And another Fat Boy is done and dusted. Team 1 has lost a lot of its momentum in the east. One of the satellites is killed off. This is very big here for Team 1. Team 1's taking out one of the 4 satellites. You can see that is the wreck. Wait, no, that's not the wreck. Where's the wreck? There's the wreck right here. Team 3 Mechs are the main target to take out Team 1's Eco. Team 2, 2.3K. Team 1, 1.6. Third emissary almost online. If this one comes online and is able to sync up with its teammates, that is not good. Shields are down. Will that middle shield come back online? Emissary is inbound. The shot is inbound. And it's going to impact on top of the engineers. Isn't going to be able to hit any of the actual stations, but oof, that's going to hurt. And the shield pops back offline. They're going to just rebuild. They're going to build another shield there. Oh, that is getting really close. Artillery now retasking onto the emissaries. The shields are falling around the emissaries. Oh, group of shielding does go down. This could be the opening that Team 2 needs to take out the emissaries once and for all. Third emissary, of course, is online. And, oh, it's not looking good. I'm going to split it once again in the west. And in the, of course, the south, not really a whole lot is progressing over there. Lots of shields are down. More and more shields are being rebuilt to replace them. And another nuke is outbound. The SMD is also down critically for Team 1. Where did the nuke go? It's going after the air grid. I mean, don't know if that was the right choice. Emissary fire raining in. Takes out one of the satellites. Oh, one of the emissaries is exposed. That third emissary is really packing the punch that Team 1 needed. More shields, more shields. Don't care about fire rate. Oh, the pigeon does explode, but it is fine. Oh, the shield emitter trying to be, kept online. There goes the nuke in the east. Kaboom! Sorry, in the east. Kaboom. Doesn't even have to go after the air grid. Looks like it tried to go after the comm. because I think that's where the column was standing. But a lot of the air grid's still alive. Very surprising. Don't really know what happened with that, but not really the best placement of that nuke, to be fair. How's that artillery being built? Almost in the 100% column, but it is in the green column, so it's almost there. I already have it. I don't need to do that because there's already a screen looking at that. And the two last satellites overhead targeting those emissaries. Team 1, this is their last hope for a win. Team 1 also trying to hold on the ground or being forced back once again. Oh, shields popping on and off. Oh, it's not feeling good here for Team 2 satellites. Oh, they're all firing kind of one after the other. So they can get one after the other shots to land. Shields still holding, but just barely. They've lost 2 of them. Oh, there goes that. Oh, it landed before the pulse could happen and take out the rest of the energy on board on the shield there. Looks like Team 1 has the shield situation handled, so it's not perfectly fine. But not satellites, but strap bombers coming in from somewhere. At least I heard them. To the north, looks like it was from Team 1's air player of Scoreboard taking out Felix's commander. It is now a 2v1 in favor of Team 1. I heard the bombs drop, but I thought they were coming from over here, but no. And that goes to the fact that Team 2 just did not have a lot of AA protection, or ASFs for that matter. So Team 1 scores a huge, crucial hit. And, of course, due to the fact that they took out Felix, who was controlling the satellites go back to their stations. They now have to travel the map once again. This gives a huge break for Team 1, at least in terms of satellites. They still have the artillery to deal with. But at least at a minimum, some of the attack power has been diminished. Oh, that one takes out an emitter. The main shield pops back online. I think I can end the split here. So Team 2 kills off a player of Popo with strap bombers. Team 1 comes back, kills off a player with strap bombers. Nice poetry there. And it's now just Soul Ripper and Chocobuns versus Team 2's Electric Foot. And it looks like there's an attack outbound in the west. Again, those artillery still focusing down the emissaries. Not a lot of shielding around those Dukes. I think Team 1 could just retask either onto the Nuke or on to those Dukes, but they don't have an SMD as well. Very crucially, oh, well, there is one being built over here, so never mind, they do have one, but could be taken out by Team 2. Where were those going? Where is that? Where are those artillery tasks? I don't know where they were going with it. You can see the emitters pop on and off. Looks like they are targeting the SMD. Does Team 1 have a nuke somewhere that I just don't know about? There's the comm over there on a transport. I don't see a nuke anywhere. Oh, shields popping on and off, on and off. Team 1 holding the ground in the west. Also in the east. Just a lot of spam to just divert Team 2. Strap bombers inbound once again here from Team 1's air player, and I think this might be it. Shield is down. Comm's trying to get out of range. It does not matter. Team 1 wins the game with strap bombers. It was very, very close there, but Team 1 pulls it out, and I think the man of the match, or the MVP, definitely has to go to Soul Ripper. He kept his team going. You know, crucially, of course, he still had his air grid somehow. I don't know why it was placed here. It should have been placed a little bit further to the east. Kept his satellites, kept his artillery online. Would have liked if he went after these satellites a little bit before than he did. Maybe he wouldn't have worried so much about that. But, I mean, there was definitely some blunders here for Team 2. Had they gone after the artillery first, that could have been huge. I don't know. I think there was definitely a little bit of mistakes on both sides, but Team 1 definitely pulls that victory. It doesn't help that 2 players on Team 2 control Cade, most likely for connection issues. Because BRS was doing very well on this western side, but for some reason just control Cade. And I think it's by connection. It could be for other reasons, but that's usually what I assume is, especially if a player is that far off in terms of eco, map control, all of that, we randomly control Cades. It's usually a connection issue. But like I said, Soul Ripper Noob deserves the MVP, I think, in this game. Let me know down in the comments if you think so or not. If you haven't done so already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching to the end of the video. And I will see all of you in the next one.